Good afternoon. Oh, I know the Virgin Islands way. When I say good afternoon, I get a good afternoon back, right? Good afternoon. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed your lunch break. We've got a great afternoon planned for you, and it's going to kick off with our special guest speaker of the day. I broke into the workforce industry back in 2008 and really didn't know much really about how workforce serves the community, serves job seekers, serves employers, serves the community in general. And as I got to know our guest speaker, Ron Painter, who took over the National Association of Workforce Boards in 2009, so we have a similar tenure from a national level, although Ron has more years of experience that he'll share with you. I really got to watch somebody bring together an industry, which is not easy to do. Not easy to be in a national position, be respected, be known, and be an advocate, and be successful at what you do. And that's what Ron brings to the table, which I've always admired, because I know it's difficult. And Ron represents the interests of more than 500 workforce boards from all around the country, including the local workforce board here that Executive Director Boyce runs. So we're really fortunate to have somebody who can bring perspective, because as unique as your challenges are, as unique as your opportunities are here in the territory, and I experience them all the time, believe it or not, they are very similar to the challenges and opportunities all around this great country. So it is my distinct pleasure and honor to bring up to the stage for our keynote speaking Mr. Ron Painter, the CEO of the National Association of Workforce Boards. Let's give him a round of applause. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I'm going to do this because, unlike the governor, I need some notes. I do want to thank the governor for the invitation to be here to talk about workforce development, because I know that workforce is close to his heart, and I know that it's one of his key priorities. So anybody that wants to talk about workforce, I am happy to come and support that conversation. I want to thank Sonia for all the hospitality that you guys have extended to me. Deeply appreciated. And to Adele Soto, my apologies that I have not been in the Virgin Islands before today. I know that, that was one of your missions. So I hope you feel that it's somewhat fulfilled, but I am most happy to be here today. Let me also dispel one other sort of myth, and that is the myth of, oh my gosh, they brought in an expert. Oh! No, let me dispel that. There are a lot of people who do research on workforce development who really understand this business from a technical standpoint way better than I do. But what I get to do is I get to travel not only the U.S., but I've been able to travel to Australia and have been with my colleagues in the EU to look at workforce development systems. What's happening to skills, and how are we learning, and how are we changing, and what does that mean? So what I hope to bring to you are some observations. And I think the one observation there's a couple observations that I hope to get across to you today. And the first one is, to Mike's point about, you may understand or you may think what you're facing is unique, but it's not. I just left a call with a number of workforce boards in Alabama. And the questions they were asking me was, what does it mean post-recovery? What do you think we ought to be doing? And by the way, where are the workers? So the issue about how are we going to recover and what does recovery mean is one of those universal questions. There's a lot of questions that we're gonna have to experience to understand as we come out of the COVID. I think the other thing to get across to you is that when I was in college, and now that my mother, rest her soul, I can admit I graduated summa cum barely. They tried to teach me economics. And I know, and I wish the governor were here, because I know that he's steeped in economics. But I remember them talking about there was a formula called land, labor, and capital. And those were the core of economics. And for a long time, it was about those other things, land and capital, that were the critical elements. But today, not just here in the Virgin Islands, not just on the mainland, but around the world, labor, talent. Talent is the key asset for a region's ability to not only economically sustain, but to economically grow. What we know, how we learn, what we do, and our skill levels and our proficiencies, that's what's ruling the world right now in terms of where is business going to go to do business. And one of the things that technology allows us to do, and we do a lot of work with AWS and with Google and with CompTIA, and one of the things that technology allows us to do is to think about where in the world do we want to work. What we need, and I just had it when I was talking to the folks in Alabama, obviously, because I was here and they were there, but I did it through a technological connection. So why can't I do that here? Why can't I be in the Virgin Islands and support technology and be a part of technology around the world? And I think one of the key answers to that is, what do we have to do as people? What do we have to do as systems in order to make that happen? I think, as you all know, we are facing major challenges around workforce development. The president has proposed to build back better. The Senate has passed the bipartisan infrastructure bill. It's now hanging out in the House. One of the things that we have gone, and a lot of my work is involved in working with folks on Capitol Hill and working with the administration and with industry associations. And one of the things that I tell them, and I really don't think it's a radical idea if you think about it. How many of you know an architect, right? Yeah, they design really amazing buildings, don't they? What stands between that drawing and us being able to go there? Oh, you're very nice, thank you. Right? Somebody has to build it. Oh my gosh, somebody has to build it. Somebody has to be able to read those drawings. Somebody has to be able to dig that foundation. Somebody has to be able to build that. And then somebody has to be able to put in the electronics that make that building work. So we can design infrastructure. We can design water and sewer projects. We can design what we want broadband to look like. We can design high-speed rail. But unless there is a skilled workforce to run it, to build it, it's not going to go anywhere. So in a sense, workforce development holds the key. But workforce development is about you as an individual, you as a business owner, you as somebody who works in the workforce development system. You hold the keys. And if there's one thing I can say to job seekers more than anything else, and that is, I got to reinforce what the governor said: seize the opportunity and be curious. When you go someplace, instead of just walking in, like I love to walk into a hospital. My son I'm very proud of my son. He's a master's degree RN. He's taught me a lot about healthcare. Yells at me a lot about other things, but he's taught me a lot about healthcare. Right, Mike? You have kids. At some point in time, they know they can correct us. So he corrects me from time to time, but I've learned a lot. So now when I go into my doctor's office or I go into a hospital, I start to look around and I start to think, geez, I wonder what it is they do. How did they get to do that? I kind of like healthcare, but I don't like blood. Well, there's hundreds of other occupations that are in healthcare. MedCerts is here, so Sandy can tell you about that. Mike can help you. Mike Fazio and his crew can help you understand that. What other options and opportunities are available in healthcare? So, what I want to walk through are kind of some like four major things, and I've already talked a little bit about what my observations are around the workforce. I want to talk about what can the workforce development system do. And when I say system, I don't just mean what Sonia is doing around a couple of titles under what's called the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, but workforce development is a system. So we have to pay attention to what happens in PK. There is no better mark around how successful you and I are going to be in the labor market, in our careers, than if you and I can read and write at the third grade level in the third grade. Third grade. So for workforce development professionals in the workforce development system, we have to be involved across the board, from PK on through lifelong learning. What we've got to learn as a workforce development system is that things have changed. How many of you have never bought anything online? You've walked into a store and bought everything. Right? I can't see hands, right? Oh my gosh, I don't see. Oh, I see one. Never bought anything online. Okay. Most of us have, right? How many of you have shopped online? So what you can find online is, I happen to be a member of REI Co-op. I think my son owns most everything from REI Co-op. But anyway, so I can go on their website and I can look and I can make a decision, because I live up north. Do I want Patagonia? Do I want Columbia? Do I want REI's? Do I want North Face? And I can see my choices and I can make that choice. Can you do that in workforce development? Can you go online? Can you explore careers? We're starting to learn that. We need to understand better how we as consumers shop, how we source information, how we consume information. And the system has to adapt to that, including what many of the workforce boards did, and that is learning about e-learning and how we do that. So, so this is going to be really, really critical. One of the things that I think we've learned, and this is where it kind of bleeds in a little bit to what business needs to help us with in workforce development. We have learned the value of doing virtual orientations. We've learned the value of doing virtual job fairs. Dallas, I was talking to Lori Larea, who is the director for the Dallas Workforce Board, talking to Lori about her experience with the virtual job fair, and it was pretty positive because they did a lot of work in making sure people were prepared, but also making sure employers were prepared. I don't think many of us pre-pandemic had to think about, what do we look like on Zoom, or what do we look like on any number of other virtual platforms, right? It really wasn't a consideration how we come across, how we get the enthusiasm for our company, the enthusiasm for what we do, the enthusiasm that we can help you achieve. That's hard to do when you're doing it virtually. So we've had to learn those kind of skills. We need employers to help us. Because you have a job opening as an employer today, I was telling Mike earlier, you know, I have one of those brains that factoids get in. I'm never always sure what to do with them, but they kind of stick in my brain, and I say, I wonder what that's going to mean. So I'm part of the boomer generation, the back end of the boomer generation. By the way, 3 million of us walked out of the labor force in the last year. Unprecedented, unpredicted. 3 million. Think about the skills we took with us. Think about what we understand when we left. How many of you are recruiting us back? How many of you are talking to us about the same thing you're talking to millennials about? Maybe I don't want to work 40 hours a week anymore, but maybe I'll take... You guys intentionally pumped in the sound noise from a Pittsburgh Steelers football game, didn't you? Just to make me feel at home. Oh my gosh. I am so appreciative of that. That is so nice of you. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, I heard that. Oh, wow, we got a couple of Steeler fans. But, you know, one of the things that stuck in my brain is, so maybe we want to come back. We don't want to work full time. Maybe we can work remotely. Maybe you got to help us understand how to do that better. So I think we got to think about tapping the older labor force. But the other thing is, the boomer generation is going to leave the next generation over $60 trillion. The next generation, to me, is the wealthiest generation in American history. I wonder what that means when they think about a job. I wonder what they think when they see a vacancy. And we have more vacancies today in the U.S. labor force than we have ever had since we started to record how many people enter the labor force, how many leave, and how many job vacancies. So I think workforce development with employers has to rethink, what is the opportunity that we're offering people? We got to think differently about who are we recruiting. I heard Sonia, and I loved it. I was so appreciative of you mentioning returning citizens. We did something in this country to a generation of just putting tens of thousands of people in prison for what we're now realizing maybe wasn't such a great idea. But we have to recognize that they can be skilled workers. They can be dedicated workers. They can be really great workers that happen to be returning citizens. Stop putting it, they're returning citizens and then they might be. Put what they are, and then let's talk about where they were. There are populations that we have left behind. We need to redouble our efforts to reach out, because one of the other stats that sticks in my brain is, so I was looking at demographics. So these 3 million boomers walked out of the labor force. What's that mean? The next time, as I understand the stat, that we're going to have that balance between people coming into the labor force and people leaving, that, if you want to call it that group that's on the water buffalo, up on top of the hill, they're going to ride down and they're going to save us, are in 3rd grade. So from an employer standpoint, we already knew that probably 80% of the labor force we're going to need in the next decade is already in the labor force. I got news for you as I start to look at the demographics, and if I understand those correctly, the labor force you have is the labor force you will have. What are we going to do with it? How are we going to develop an agility between training providers, between the workforce development system and employers? And as importantly, how as workers are we going to develop agility to seize the opportunities that are in front of us? And I think this challenge of becoming agile is really going to be critical. So we see things like, we do as a national organization, we do an award called the W.O. Lawton Award. Dr. Lawton was very passionate about business engagement in workforce development. So we give it every year to business and workforce development partnerships. And last year we gave it to a group out of Lubbock, Texas, South Plains, Texas, because they have a consortium of probably 12 organizations, chambers of commerce, economic development, the workforce boards, that have figured out how to put over $3.5 million worth of equipment into the 14 high schools in their region so that kids can actually experience what maybe they see in a picture, what they see in a video. I heard, I think Jay earlier talk about YouTube University, so that they can actually see and touch what they saw on YouTube. That is so critical, to combine that with the actual, this is what that machine looks like, and this is what it does. We've seen other examples across the country that are really, really powerful. In LA, the hospitality industry has banded together to create the Hospitality Training, let me get this right, Hospitality Training Academy. And it works with federal, state, local funding, federal, state, and local government. It works with the industry. It works with businesses. It works with the unions, so that individuals can come in and they can get trained in the hospitality industry. And I heard it mentioned earlier how critical customer service skills are. and how often we don't have that. I had somebody who does a lot of work in technology one day say to me, can you just teach somebody who's really curious about a piece of software, building a piece of software, building an app, can you just teach them somebody has to buy it? Somebody has to use it? Like, are we filling some company's need, or are we filling somebody's need? So, you know, that's not something we're inherently born with. We're inherently born needy. You know, we scream when we need our diapers changed. We scream. I have twin nephews who will be 3 if they're allowed to, you know, stay with us. I think their mom and dad, you know, are yeah, they got something to say about that. But you know, the boys just scream when they need something. As we get older, we've got to help that transition about what it means. What does customer service mean? What does it mean for us to actively listen to somebody who is asking us for a commodity, or asking us for advice, or asking us about you know, something that they need? We've got to become better listeners. One of the other projects that I think is really pretty cool, and an example I think where business can work with government well, is Spirit AeroSystems, which builds components for Boeing and other major carriers or major air manufacturers, based in Wichita, Kansas, has an incredible project with the Workforce Board. So young people, not only in the PK through 12 system through Carl Perkins and the Career and Tech Education, not only do they get exposed to what is avionics, they start to get exposed to what is Spirit AeroSystems. And then they start to get into some work experience, and then they get into an apprenticeship. And if they go on to the college track, then they come back and they get some on-the-job training contracts with that business. So that the onboarding into a critical industry in Wichita is happening starting in high school. Real hands-on experience. That's a partnership. I've been out there, I've sat with Spirit AeroSystems, I've heard their passion about working with young people and helping young people understand what my former boss, the mayor of Pittsburgh, Mayor Murphy, used to say to me, and that were the options and opportunities that are available in Wichita. And it's the same sort of thing if we go down to Mobile, Alabama. Mobile, Alabama, working with Airbus and working with Mercedes, begins in high school. And both of them see the value of getting kids in high school to experience what it means to work on an Airbus. And I got to tell you, it's got to be a certain amount of pride when that plane takes off and you realize you were a part of that. So I think we have to think about what's the experience that we're giving people. I think one of the other examples that I really like is that up in Rochester, Minnesota, Mayo, one of the things that they experienced at Mayo Clinics was that they were able to recruit people, but their turnover, their retention was really, they had a lot of turnover. So how are they going to deal with that turnover? One of the things that they worked with the local workforce board on and the learning providers in the area was they did a boot camp. And I can't remember whether it was 4 or 5 days, but individuals came in and they got to experience what it is in healthcare, what healthcare is about, what are the occupations that are in healthcare. And yes, they got to understand that even if I want to be an X-ray technician because I don't like blood, guess what? Sometimes you see blood in the X-ray room. So maybe that's not what you want to do. I think I'd probably be one of those people who would be an accountant, or one of those people who sits behind the desk and asks you for your insurance card or something like that. I don't want near the blood. But it was that boot camp, and the outcome of that was not only did individuals understand whether or not they wanted to be in healthcare, but Mayo was able to reduce their turnover rate significantly because people got to experience healthcare, and they understood what the healthcare industry, what options it had, what opportunities it had, but it also, like, what lay ahead of them. So finally, for, you know, for us as workers, automation is not something now in books about the future. Automation is here. I saw a video the other day of a car driving into one of the fast food restaurants and drove up to the drive-through and they ordered. And it sounded like it would, you know, you and I have experienced many times when we do that. But what was different was that the restaurant decided that they could do this through technology, through artificial intelligence, robotics, better than they could do it with a human, cheaper than a human. They didn't have to recruit that robot every week, every day. They could install that system, and that system would be there. So we have to learn as job seekers that persistence matters. Showing up for the job on Monday is great. Showing up for the job on Friday begins to build confidence that we are there, we're dedicated, and we're going to be a part of this. One of the things that I think we also have to learn is that we continuously learn. We have to continuously learn. I think if I were to poll the boomers who are in the audience, or really anybody, I'd ask you, is anything about how you do business different today than it was when you first started in your occupation, in your career? Well, it certainly has. For me, I've had to learn Word and Excel and PowerPoint, and I've had to learn how to do technology. I'm not an expert at it, but it's now a part of what's expected of me to be able to do my job. So each of us has to accept that we're going to have to continuously learn. Sonia and the Workforce Development Board have the task of trying to figure out what that continuous learning system looks like on the islands. But as workers, you have to accept that you're going to need to continuously learn. As automation continues to advance, there's all kinds of numbers about how many jobs that's going to impact. McKinsey has estimated somewhere around 30% of all the jobs will be lost to innovation. The Brookings Institute says 36 million workers will need to learn new skills. Everybody is suggesting, not only here, but around the world, that we're going to have to learn new skills. And when we do, you know, we enter a different world, a new world. One of the things I noted when I was looking at the stats about the island is that you have about 13,000 people who have, quote, some college. If you have some college, I'm going to encourage you, you got to connect with Sonia, you got to connect with the workforce, with the job centers, with the one-stops, the American Job Centers, because you got to figure out how you go back. Everything we know about skill levels tells us that your potential to be unemployed shrinks the more skill you have, whether that's credentials or whether that's academic skills. It happened during the Great Recession. It has happened during the pandemic, that the more skill you have, the less likely you are to be unemployed, and the less likely you are to be long-term unemployed. As individuals, that's our responsibility to accept that is the way the world is today. And when you couple that with a skilled workforce is the calling card for businesses, then we need to understand our region's ability to sustain economic growth, to grow, is dependent on us. It's dependent on our business partners. It's dependent on our education partners. It's dependent on our government partners. Nobody alone. This is a system, and we each have to accept responsibility. I want the opportunity, if there are any Q&A. I think we can do that, right? If there are any questions or comments, I want to leave that, but I want to give you that opportunity. But I do want to reinforce to you that, yes, I will not lie to you as I do to my nieces and nephews and tell them how old I am. I'll actually admit, yeah, I am a boomer. I think the things that motivate us, the things that motivate me, are in many ways the things I hear from my nieces and nephews. You know, they're looking for a passion in life. They're looking for that job opportunity that speaks to them of the value of their work, the value of them as an individual. So they're looking for that work. They're looking for the employer that values them as a part of their organization. I think it goes back to how we onboard people. One of the things that I've always admired about the Germans is that if I'm going to be in manufacturing in Germany, when I go to work there, the first thing they do is help me understand where our company is inside our industry sector in Germany. And then it helps us understand where our company is relative to the EU and then where we are relative to the world. So I kind of have an idea of what I'm participating in. I'm a part of it. And I think we got to connect back and do more of that. So I think for the boomers, I think it's, it's really crazy stuff that when you were up here, you absolutely understand. If you're not listening to your customer, what happens to your restaurant? What happens to your other businesses? Somebody else is listening to them, right? So I think as simple as it sounds, part of this is the workforce development system needs to understand how do we talk to the job seeker? How do we understand what they're looking for? How do we understand? A lot of times it has to do with what's the pension structure look like? Again, maybe they don't want to come back 40 hours a week. Maybe they don't need to, but they want to come back 20, or maybe they want to come back on a particular project that speaks to their expertise, speaks to their passion. So I think that it's really, it's when I talk to workforce boards all the time, I tell them, look, you guys know everything you need to know when you walk into the room because you ask questions all the time. Who's our customer? What's happening to our customer? How are we adapting to what is happening to them? And then how are we going to know what we did is effective? And so I think, again, as simple as it sounds, I think that's part of what we've got to learn to do is this, how do we listen to the customer and how do we change? Because part of that is also setting the customer's expectations. I had a friend who used to say, they call it work for a reason. There are days I don't want to get up in the morning, but we do. So I think that's part of it. I think business has to, I think workforce boards can help businesses have that conversation with millennials and with others about what are your expectations and then how we think about it. It's changed. It's changed dramatically. I was telling Mike we're interviewing new staff, and it's been an incredible experience for me to talk to them because they're asking me as many questions about what value am I bringing to them? What experience are they going to have if they come to work for NAWB? And it's made us rethink, how we do some of what we do. And I think we've got to do that as business. Business is really challenged today because you got to listen to that. What's happening in my industry, you got to respond. If you're a part of the supply chain, you got to respond to who you're supplying, their demands. But at the same time, we got to reach back out and we got to talk to workers about what's going on with them, what's going to motivate them. It's not enough just, bring them in, train them for the first 15 minutes and then say, have at it. It's that, how do we build the kind of expertise and the kind of dedication we want? And part of that is just, we have to respect that worker. We've got to show that worker that they do matter. Anybody else want to shout out? Yes, got a question up there.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So what are you hearing in the industry and other work boards in terms of return to the office? In my consulting work, I'm hearing a lot of employees that don't want to return to the office and a lot of CEOs that want them to return to the office.
Oh, what a great question. I was one of the questions that came up earlier this morning on the call. I had to say to them, look, I think some of this is just we're going to have to experience it, go through the experience to understand what it meant. I know as an organization we're struggling with what does that mean because, frankly, we've done I think a pretty good job remotely of getting our work done. We work in Washington, D.C., which, as you may know, is our nation's capital. I wasn't sure if you knew that, Sandy, but okay. I can ride the metro. I can get on the metro, and I can be one of 10 people on the metro headed in. So we're not back to work. But I think it's also, I will only say our experience has been, what is the value of having the employees come back into the office? What does that what does that add? We've gotten good at remote. So again, I think we've had to rethink. I think many people have to rethink. There are some industries, of course, that don't have to rethink that. I mean, the hospital you can't do surgery. Well, I guess you can, right? Da Vinci, you can remotely do surgery, but you got to have nurses, you got to have other staff. I think, I don't know. I don't have an answer for that other than I think it's one of those things we're going to have to experience and then we're going to understand. But I think part of that answer is, what value does it add to have people come back? Anything else? We have another? Nope. Okay. Am I turning this back over to, I'm turning, Isha. Energy. I told her, you had such energy this morning when you came up. It really got me fired up. So I am happy to hand this back to you.
Thank you so much. Let's give a round of applause for Mr. Painter, giving us a whole lot to think about. So we're going to get started in our afternoon concurrent sessions. I'm going to go over what those sessions are with you. In Theater 8, we have Thriving in a Job Seeker's Market. In Theater 1, we have Workforce Resources for Employers, Recruitment, Incentives, and Upskilling. In Theater 7, we have the Forgotten Talent Pool, getting justice-involved individuals back to work. In Theater 3, we have Aligning Workforce Development with Economic Development to grow and retain your workforce. And finally, we have in Theater 2, the Hustle and Grind. Yay! And Mike Fowles are going to be doing that for job seekers, all what you need to get your hustle legally and grind on back in the job market. Please go enjoy the concurrent sessions and stay tuned online. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon and welcome to our session entitled Thriving in a Job Seekers Market. We're happy that you're here with us. And in this session, you'll learn how to attract, recruit, and retain quality talent. Our employees are a company's greatest asset, and how you treat them is how they treat your customers as they come to your business. Success in attracting and retaining employees in the new economy depends on the culture that you create. Our presenters will discuss simple tips and strategies for employee recognition and uncover best practices and ways to use training and development as a reward and retention strategy. My name is Shirley Lake King, and I'm a member of the Workforce Development Board, and I'm pleased to introduce you members of our panel. And our first presenter we have today is Ms. Juliet Bynum. She's the director of the Select Temp Staffing and Business Center, and she works with individuals and organizations to amplify their communication, confidence, and productivity so that employers can reach company goals and employees can maximize their potential. She mentors with passion and uses a real-world approach to her coaching and training. She has many years of corporate training, management, and HR experience. She believes that staying abreast of a changing workforce landscape helps her motivate and inspire people, leadership, and businesses to do their best work. Let's welcome Ms. Juliet Bynum.
Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon.
Our next presenter is Mr. Shamari Moorhead, and he's the founder of the St. Croix-based Crucian Point Consulting, where he leads the design and development of software, mobile applications, and social media marketing. Prior to Crucian Point, Shamari worked at IBM as a user experience consultant. He has worked with more than 20 global companies, and he also has a love for entrepreneurship in St. Croix and the Virgin Islands, which has led him to start the Crucian Point Consulting. He has been a guest speaker on social media, technology, and entrepreneurship. He was also born and raised in St. Croix and attended the St. Croix Central High School, graduated from St. Joseph High School, and he's earned a bachelor's degree in computer science and master's degree in computer information systems from Boston University. Help me welcome Mr. Shamari Moorhead. And last but not least, also a moderator is Ms. Cindy L. Richardson, and she is the designee for the Director of Personnel. Congratulations on that designation. She's an accomplished executive with 22 years of exceptional performance in grant management, project coordination, and marketing strategy. She's capable of contributing objective and decisive leadership to consistently deliver within project constraints. She's also demonstrated the ability to improve processes, develop operational solutions, motivate teams through hands-on approach, and to meet compliance goals, all of which are very important to the success of any business. She also is an excellent communicator with strong writing and analytical skills. She was recently nominated by Governor Albert Bryan Jr. to serve as the Director of Division of Personnel. Prior to that, she served for the last 2 years as the Assistant Commissioner of the Virgin Islands Department of Labor, where she headed the operations of the St. Thomas office and was the department's principal liaison with the U.S. Department of Labor. Welcome, Ms. Cindy Richardson, as a moderator for our panel, and thank you so much for agreeing to be here, and we look forward to you sharing with our audience. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that warm welcome, Ms. King. And, you know, I just want to say good afternoon and welcome to the Governor's Workforce Development Summit. And our theme today for this summit, or this year's summit, is getting our people back to work. And our session today, along with my panelists, who are just recently introduced, we're going to be talking about thriving in the job seeker market, how to attract, recruit, and retain quality talent. So I want to give my panelists a little bit of time to just warm up. Again, I know they were just introduced, but I wanted to give them the opportunity to give that personal touch. So Ms. Bynum, Juliet Bynum of Select Temp, can you tell us a little bit about your organization and what you have to offer?
My name is Juliet Bynum. I'm a native of Los Angeles, California. I've lived on St. Croix for over 30 years. Select Temp Staffing is a temporary staffing agency, and we supply staffing for businesses throughout the Virgin Islands. We currently have temps on St. Croix, St. Thomas, none on St. John, but we do staff St. John. We staff in various capacities. We'll staff for short-term work, long-term work, temp to hire, and also if someone has a worker that they feel they want to see if they're a fit for their organization, they can send them to us. We will hire them and send them back. So we send them back as a temp so that they are able to work with that employer to see if they're going to be a match. At Select Temp Staffing, we do everything that a regular employer does. Our employees work for us. We pay all the taxes, workers' comp, unemployment, all of that. So our temps are employed by Select Temp Staffing. In addition to staffing, I also coach workplace culture and do motivational speaking.
Thank you for that. Mr. Moorhead, can you tell me a little bit about your business, Crucian Point? What is that about?
Good afternoon. Crucian Point is a software company. I used to work for IBM doing software development for a lot of different companies around the world. Places like American Express, Moody's, the U.S. Army. And in my travels, I realized that, in the Virgin Islands, we have a lot of businesses that have a need for software design and, the web and mobile apps, but they can't afford to pay for an IBM or an Accenture or a Deloitte Institute. So it was an opportunity for me to come back and start a business doing the type of work. So we have a team of roughly 7 of us in St. Croix, and a few part-time employees and a few freelancers or contract employees who help. And we do everything from come up with content, we do design, we do the development, we help you with your internet marketing, and we do things like mobile apps.
Great, great. So as we go towards our topic today, and we talk about attracting talent, creating a healthy workplace culture in the public and the private sector is it's very unique. It poses its own unique challenges, and I can say from the public sector, you're dealing with organizations having to manage evolving priorities. You have to deal with the transition of leadership coming and going, and even to budgetary constraints. What are some of the challenges that you face as a private sector employer attracting that talent that you need?
Well, I have a twofold talent to attract. I must attract my office staff who works for us on a regular basis, and also attract temporary workers. And that's becoming harder and harder to do in these COVID days. It used to be, how can you not want a job? This is a in-between job. You can pay WAPA and get your bills done. But nowadays, people are more determined about what they want to do with their time and their work life. So I believe for us, in order to attract good people, in order for us to attract people at all, we have to be a good place to work. Specifically in the staffing agency, they have to know that they're going to get paid every week. We're not going to miss a payroll. That they can have direct deposit. They don't have to come into the office to work. Our staff is remote. Everybody's remote. So the best thing that we can do is to not detach, to get in touch with them, to have biweekly sessions with them, just quick calls. How's it going? How's that assignment going? And make sure that we stay attached and that they know that we are the employer, and if they have needs and concerns, they can come to us. Also, I'm working with our temporary staff to make them permanent, if not with a client of ours, within their job and career searches. We'll help them write resumes. We'll write letters of recommendation, because there's very little that you can offer temporary staff workers in general. So we make sure that we give back to them by coaching them through permanent interviews, helping them with their resumes, helping them present to new employers when they're looking for full-time jobs. So really, retention is being a great place to work and knowing that having the employees know that you're authentically caring about them?
I think one of my challenges is finding people to do the type of work that we do. That's my biggest challenge. In the Virgin Islands, when people think of technology, they think of computers. They think of, fixing your network, your Wi-Fi, your laptop. And 20 years ago, that's what I did. Now I stray away from anything hardware related. It's typically everything software. So coming up with custom software, coming up with design. So I know lots of graphic designers, but they would do flyers, they would do T-shirts, they would do anything print related. Come up with a user experience for a website, with a user experience for a mobile app, with online ads and the messaging. That's where my challenge comes into. So, it's not really that we, I have a hard time. It's that, we just don't have, there's a very few companies that do it in the Virgin Islands, so it's hard for me to even, poach employees from other companies because it's not something people, think of. Mm-hmm. And it's hard to do, in such a small area.
Well, thank you for that. And, when we talk about attracting that workforce, it's also, recruiting is almost, it's similar, attracting, recruiting. And, now the last speaker that we just heard, they talked about, how do you get those people to come back? How do you get them to, okay, well, I was working 8 hours and now I can do everything in 4 hours from home. And then even just us being here in the Virgin Islands, why wouldn't you want to work here? It's the best place to be. So what are some of the tools that you're using to attract? Do you have telework? Should employers do telework policies? Should they have that flexibility? In creating that culture, you have to establish that trust. So what are you doing to recruit and have those people come to you?
I think for us, my biggest thing is trust. I'm more concerned about the work getting done than about someone clocking hours. So we have to clock time just to make sure that, for the projects that we do, that we're staying on budget and that we're not going over. Because most of our work is fixed price. If a client's paying, $5,000 for work, I don't want my employee spending $6,000 worth of time doing it because I have to pay that time out. So I tell them, do your best guess, but I'm not looking to micromanage you. I'm looking for you to get the work done efficiently so that you're comfortable. If you get the job done in 2 hours and I estimated 8 hours, that's 6 hours left for you to, do education, to go to the beach, to take care of whatever you got to get done because, clients are paying for the work to get done. So, offering a flexible work environment where employees are, focused more on being a valued member of your team, contributing to the business growth or your organization's growth, and looking at them that way versus looking at them as an expense, strictly as an expense, strictly as a number, strictly as, a time clock or a time card. Because people who, they feel like, oh, I'm just punching hours, then they don't see the big picture. And so making sure that they're, valued as an employee, as a valued part of your team, that's helped, with recruitment.
I would say in the interview process, show people a clear trajectory to where they can go in your company. Especially show them a career path where they can go in your company so that they know that if they do the work, if they add to their skills, they're not on a dead-end job. That's number one. Show them a clear trajectory to where they can be with the company. The other thing is, as Shamani mentioned, trust. You have to trust your employees to do the job that you hired them for without micromanaging. Personally, I take a stance of I assign work and I follow up. I don't tell them how to do it because I hired them for their skill, right? So I don't tell them how to do it. I give them the assignment that I need to get them done, when I need them to get them done, and then I follow up. And then they have their assignments because I want them to initiate and innovate within the office. I don't want to be the only idea person in the office. And I don't want anybody to work for my office that gets that feeling in the pit of their stomach in the parking lot when they have to come inside the building. I've experienced that feeling, and it's not fun to not go to work We see each other for long periods of time throughout the day, so I want people to enjoy an environment of safety, non-bullying, gossip-free unless we're doing it. And, you know, just an environment that you can enjoy as you do your work. That for me was put to the test recently. Last year in December, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and I had to leave the island and go back to California for treatment. I left my office unsupervised for 14 months, and I came back to a business. For me, that was a major coup, that I had already trusted the employees to do their job. They weren't accustomed to me looking over their shoulder and asking, is this done, is that done? I was able to work remotely and give them some leadership. Sometimes I was so sick I couldn't even do that, but I was able to work remotely and come back to a business that was still thriving. And that's awesome. That's amazing. And that is to me, that's a testament to the type of workforce that we could have.
Thank you for that. I think that's so important, that trust and, you know, that sense of responsibility. I think it allows the employees to grow and learn. It also gives you a sense of comfort as well. You know, I just started at the Division of Personnel, and coming in and that the onboarding too, I think is important for employers to also understand too. That experience, those first few days, it makes a big difference on how you're treated and how you feel that you can actually fit into an organization. And also too, and I'm going to go in a little bit to maybe some training and professional development that you may offer, but I also want to just continue the conversation. Like I said, I just came on to Division of Personnel, and I started to do one-on-ones with the employees just to get to know them. But one of the things that I found that was a common thread was everybody was doing some sort of cross-training or had some sort of succession planning. And that was amazing to me. And I think, and that goes and links to your topic about responsibility and trust, because here I am today and I'm doing this summit, but I'm at ease because I know the team that I've left behind is doing a great job. And I think that's also important in building that culture and for your business. So can we talk a little bit about you retaining the quality of your talent? Do you offer professional development, perks, incentives, training? What do you do to just keep those individuals engaged and keep them there with you?
So before I answer that question, one of the things that you mentioned briefly, like both of you, in trusting employees, is one of the things that I learned from as a business owner. Banking in the Virgin Islands is very hard. And for employers, if you have a business plan and a business where the business isn't dependent on you, banks have an easier time lending you money. So it's not part of this discussion, but it's something that I learned from talking to banks. If they see a sole proprietor and they're like, you're the only person, if you get hit by a car tomorrow and they've given you $150,000, that money is lost. But if they've given you $150,000 and you have a business that, you could be out sick, you could take 14 months to work on your health and the business still survives, you have an easier time of, growing and getting financing and getting backing because your business isn't solely dependent on you. And that's part of the trust, for me to be able to take vacation, my mental health, for my employees to be able to take vacation and not have the business suffer and not have the business fall because it's dependent on one person. The second part of your question, leadership skills. One of the things that I adopted from a friend of mine, she's been a trainee for Oracle, and now she has a hair care product called Thank God I'm Natural. She has a little document called Her Expectations, and she posted the front page of it on Facebook, and I called her up and I was like, hey, Christia, I want to see the rest of it. And it's a document that she gives to all her employees, and it lists all of her expectations as an employer, as a supervisor. Here's how you're successful as part of the team. So everything from, how to, refer to, your clients, how to function if she's not available, how to follow up on emails, on phone calls, everything that it takes to be successful, to be part of the team. setting the expectations. So you do that during your onboarding, you do it during your interview process, but it's also something that you document that people can refer to. So for my employees, once a quarter, they get a reminder, go back and check out this document, just, as a refresher. And I do it as myself too. What am I expecting from my employees, for their growth, So I look at, encouraging them to look for education opportunities. So if they're, one of my programmers, I'm like, hey, if you see classes or is there a skill that you want to take up, let me know. I had someone approach me saying, hey, I want to go to this training. Is this something that I can get the time off for, and will you fund it? I'm like, let's look at the budget. Sure, let's do it. One of the things that we have not done that I've been hearing a lot about is UVI Cell as a place for employers to go to get training for their employees. So there's a lot of different opportunities. People have talked about YouTube, UVI Cell, and there's a couple others online. I think, Julie, you mentioned some earlier.
Right. edX, Udemy.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. That is a good point about laying out the expectations. Basically, when I train with a company to bring out their company culture, we basically call it core values. You might have 3 to 5 core values that these are deal breakers for our corporation. These don't change. Our processes may change, our hours may change, what we sell may change, but our core values do not change. We respect our customers and each other. We are ethical in our dealings with our clients. We respect people regardless of their station when they come into contact with Selectim staffing. 3 or 4 core values for that company. And then we hire to those core values. This is what we believe in when we're in that interview session. This is what we believe in. And we gauge the personality and the temperament of those people. Are they going to fit our core values, be it they working in an office or be it a temp? Because remember, I'm putting people on other people's jobs. And if it's not someone that I would hire myself, I am not going to place them. So we even hire our temps to our core values, okay? We also fire to our core values. And I tell people, don't hire anybody that you are not willing to fire. I know people don't like talking about letting people go, but you have to be consistent. That's how serious it is to your culture. Being consistent, treating everybody the same, putting every process goes for everybody. We all have that employee that we count on. They get things done. They're our backbone. But if they break the core values and we forgive that, what does it do to the morale of the rest of the employees? That's why the core values have to be a deal breaker to that culture. We hire to it, we fire to it, we train to it, and then it runs our establishment. And people know the decisions to make based on our core values. I don't have to be there and say, okay, you need to treat that person with dignity, or you need to find out more research to see how we can help that person. They know that because that's our core values.
Thank you for that. Since this is employer-based and, we are now in the new world of work and we're doing a lot of things via Zoom, via Teams, and we have to go through that interview process. Can you provide any tips as to what an employer should look for now that they're doing it, via Zoom? It's a little bit different than doing it in person. What are some tips now and some of the skills that are needed now in this new world of work? What are some of the skills, not only that's on the resume, but what you should look for on those mediums?
I kind of was prepared for this because I used to work for IBM for 7 years, and the first 6 years, my manager lived in Charlotte, North Carolina. I lived in New York City the first couple of years, and then I moved to Atlanta. And so we met, I flew to Charlotte for the interview, and I think I probably saw him maybe 3 times after, randomly in Chicago and New York, and I think one other place we were actually happened to be at the same city at the same time for different projects. So, being able to trust employees. I work for a lot of different clients, and I wasn't able to go to every client to have an in-person meeting, but it was interviews over the phone. And back then, it wasn't, Zoom wasn't popular. Actually, Zoom wasn't even around. WebEx wasn't around. It was, clients call you up, they fill you out, they get your resume, and if they like you, they fly you out for the project. And if you do well, you stay. If you don't, then you're off the project. So in this pandemic time, it was easy for me to transition because most of my employees work from home. One of my best employees, I was in the States when I hired him. I hired him straight out of UVI. We did a Zoom WebEx meeting. And, what I looked for in that conversation was passion. If someone has passion to get the work done and to be part of the team, that takes you a whole, long way. They can learn the skill, they can, be trained on anything. But if they have the passion to be part of the team and to get the work done, that's the biggest thing I look for, People who are trainable, people who listen and not just listen to provide answers, but listen. I had someone apply for a job, and they called every single day. And I said, hey, you need to update your resume because your resume doesn't have your name on it. And they would not send me back a new resume. They did not send it back, but they kept calling, asking for this job. And I said, I need a resume with your name on it. I need to know that the person calling me is the same person on this resume. And I couldn't get that. So while they had the passion, that was half the equation. They did not listen. So I'm like, well, if I hire this person and they won't take this simple instruction to put your name on your resume, I love the passion. I love someone who's going to call me every single day to follow up. But I need someone who's going to listen as well. So looking out for those things, you can find those things just listening to someone, having a conversation. And, really listening out for, how they respond back. And, not so much looking for the skill because people can learn, people can, they can be trained, but listening for that passion, listening for that conversation. Are they listening to you? Or they strictly just answering questions? Do they come prepared just to answer questions and not really have a conversation? Because if they can have a conversation, they can listen, they can understand what your client's needs are. They're not one of those people who just go out to a client and dictate, what they believe. They're going to go out to a client. For us, our business is built on helping clients. So in order to do that, you have to understand what the client wants. And if you have someone who can listen and truly understand, then you can really help them.
I interview hundreds, literally hundreds of people in any given month. That's what we do. People are coming through. About 3 days a week are set just for interviews. I recently switched over to since I've been back, I've been interviewing with Teams or Duo or one of those. I really don't find it that much different than interviewing in person. But what I do in my interviews, I don't interview to a job description. Because if you're looking for a clerk, you're looking for somebody who has been a clerk. If you're looking for an admin, you're looking for somebody who has been an admin. I interview to skill. What are the 3 deal breaker skills that I need? They gotta have this in order to do the job. So I take those 3 skills and then I start interviewing to character. Some people have just not been given a chance, and they are so hungry. We look at people and we judge them. We judge them by how they look. We judge them by how they talk. We judge them by who their people are. There's so many ways that, that we judge people. I would say as an interviewer, get rid of that judgment. Have a conversation with people. And sometimes it takes a minute. We as Virgin Islanders, we are not going out there and just tooting our own horn. That's not who we are. And it takes us a minute to warm up to people. Set aside enough time to have a conversation and learn who that person is and after you've determined whether or not they have that skill set. You know, they may not be the sharpest knife in the drawer the way that they look. You can coach that. I'll coach that before I send it to a client. Okay, this is what I need you to do. I need you to put on a shirt with a collar. I need you to, you know, get a pair of slacks. I need you to dress one up from the job that you're applying for. And I need you to look them right in the eye. You are not begging anybody for anything. It's a negotiation. And I coach that before I send them to a client. And I've had clients hire people who nobody has given a chance. And those are the most loyal workers that you will ever have. They will be to work on time. They will get your job done. They will empty the trash cans when they don't have anything to do. But look beyond the job description. Look at the skill set. Look at the character and give it time. Start pulling out who that person is. We laugh when people leave sometimes because sometimes I'm seriously tired because I really had to pull out the answers. Sometimes the chemistry may not be that great in the beginning, but give it a minute, go deep, find out who that person is, and give people a chance based on skill and character, not necessarily job description.
I think one thing I would add to that too is, you know, if you find someone who, you know, they just didn't meet your needs, you know, the conversation didn't mesh well, they didn't have the skill set, give them feedback. You know, I had one gentleman who, you know, he thought he was a sure win. You know, I called, you know, 2 of his previous employers, they gave me great recommendations on him. His aunt was actually a friend of mine that I've known since 2nd or 3rd grade. And he came to the interview, and I asked him a few questions, and the only thing that he knew was my name and that I had a social media account. He did not know the name of the company. Even though I used my company email, he did not know anything that we did. And I said, you know, you didn't do any. I said, you had a leg up on most people because, you know, I spoke to your aunt directly. I called your previous employers, you know, that, you know, we were friends with. I said, but for you to come and not know the name of the company, to not know what we do, you know, I just can't, you know, you didn't do your research. And so I gave him that feedback, and I saw him on the street probably 2 or 3 years later, and I said, you remember me? He said, yeah. I said, you remember why you didn't get hired? He said, yeah. He said, I just didn't do my research. And he remembered that, and he remembered that lesson. And so he took it with him, you know, to do better next time. So, you know, sometimes it may not work out, but give them that feedback so that they learn. You know, I always want people to learn, whether it's with me or with someone else, but to do better next time.
I just wanted to say quickly, temp staffing doesn't have benefits. You know, we don't give them health insurance. It's just work for pay. So I feel like I have to do something to add value to the people who work for me. If they're looking for full-time work, I'll help them write their resume. I'll coach them on interviews. I'll write letters of recommendations. But some of the things that I do for people who I cannot employ, I challenge them. And one guy had a police record and nobody would employ him, and he was a very, very intelligent person. I said, I'll give you 90 days. And take this course at edX. I'll pay for it. They're really cheap. But I said, take this course at edX. It's a 90-day course. And if you can't find a job, I'll show you how to monetize those skills as a freelancer. There's a lot of ways to make money. You give someone 30 days, learn a skill. They can go on these freelancer websites and monetize the skills that they have. They can do it for businesses here in the Virgin Islands. Who wouldn't want somebody to do their pivot charts and spreadsheets in a business? Learn Excel, master it. This is what I tell people who come in. No one leaves my office without getting coached on presentation, their resume. You know, Sexy Mama is not a, is not a great email address. You know, they're free, make a professional one. You know, your perfume smells really good, but the whole building doesn't need to smell it. You know, I love your nails, but how do you work? I say this to everybody that comes into the office, and I've never had anybody get cross at me for that type of constructive criticism because I say it from a place of love and I say it from a place of authenticity. So absolutely, coach and leave people better than they came in.
Yeah, and I'm just going to add a little bit of a personal touch to what you said about the resumes. I think one of the hardest things people have to do is to actually write about themselves and, write down and talk about their accolades and their accomplishments, and even if it's just a simple bio. But one of the things I've noticed in some of the many interviews that I've done is we'll have a panel and we'll have maybe about 15 resumes, and our HR would say, I want you to pick your top 3. Everybody would pick a different top 3. And there, when I get to interview somebody who I did not pick, and it's just because I did take that 1 minute look, quick glance, 2 minutes at that resume, and I was like, But when you get them in that interview and you see that drive and you see that passion, so just like you said, that judgment that you hold at first, just at that resume, give them a chance, because sometimes they'll just blow you away in an amazing interview and you would have just probably lost a really good employee. So I think that's a very good point that you brought up. As we start to wrap up a little bit, let's talk a little bit about, with us trying to retain, now you're looking at health and wellness. You have your mental health days. You see certain employers, well, we do yoga outside in the afternoons, or you get a wellness day, or you offer just certain benefits. Are there anything that you're doing to offer that peace of mind? You have employees that are dealing with virtual learning, and they have, they need that flexible schedule. What are you doing now to accommodate some of those needs that we're seeing right now?
For me, I think I would set the tone that, focus on yourself, because if you are not here tomorrow, it's no benefit to me, So, in the Virgin Islands, we have issues with, power. We have issues with, internet. I got, I think, 2 employees who live pretty close to each other, and, WAPA just has that one particular part of the island where the power is always out at least once a week. And so, they'll call me and text me and say, hey, I have no power or I have no internet. And I'm like, that's fine, take time off. One employee, he calls me, he's like, hey, I'm going for a run. Do what you got to do. If you got the work done and we schedule it, I work by schedule. I don't like stuff just being thrown randomly. So, I tell folks, let's try our best to schedule everything out so that we can, pad the time a little bit so that if things do come up, we're not trying to, rush. Unfortunately, it's easier said than done. We have some clients who, they just take their time, and so it rolls into delays for other projects, and, we're trying to fix that issue. But, I tell folks, look, take time off if you need to. If you need, a day off, if you got a headache, you need to sleep in late, as long as we can get the work done in a timely manner and our clients are happy, that's the most important thing, because if they're happy, then they pay their bills. If they pay their bills, I can pay my employees. The other thing that we did too was, started offering health insurance. Health insurance is very expensive, but it was something that I worked on for a few years to make sure that we could do. So, most places in the Virgin Islands, they offer, 50-50. Employer pays half, employee pays half. So, in order to retain employees, I said, well, can I do a little bit better than that? So I looked at the numbers, and yes, we do a little bit better than the 50-50. Just so that, employees, feel like if they get sick, they can take care of themselves. If they need time off, they don't have to worry about it. And that has helped. That is, I've had, one lady called me and said, look, thank you for this. Like, this has made the world of a difference, just being able to know that if anything happens, I'm taken care of.
That's very important. I can attest to that. Unfortunately, we can't afford to buy health insurance for hundreds of temps that we have out there. And I can't even control their quality of mental health once they're placed, because I can't tell our clients how to run their workplace. But what I can do is match temps to the temperament of that workplace. And trust me, that saves on mental health. There are a lot of workplaces, I'm just gonna say it, where people bully. We have a big bullying problem on this island where people who want to be productive sometimes cannot work in peace, won't even take promotions for fear of what people will say, what their coworkers will say. I know my client's workplace. I get to know the people that I partner with, and I know that there are some work environments that are more challenging than others. So I interview to those types of environments. I make sure that I have mature people who go into those types of environments who are sustained by self. They're not susceptible to peer pressure. They know what they go. They go, they do the work, and they go home, and they live their life. So I try and place people where they will not be uncomfortable in environments. In my own office, I ask my staff to get up and walk every couple of hours because I read an article that said sitting is the new smoking. So folks, let's get up and walk. If they need a mental health day or whatever, that's where teamwork comes in. They don't have to tell me why they're taking a day off. They need to plan it if they can, but they don't have to say, I'm sick and I'm taking a day off. They just say, I need this day off. They know what their workload is. They know what they need to do. They know if they're in the middle and they can't finish, then they need to pass it on. But they don't have to tell me if they need a mental health day. Just tell me you need a day.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. So as we start to do a final wrap up, do you have any final words of wisdom? You have an open audience here to gear towards employers. Do you have any final words of wisdom that you'd like to offer to the employers, in regards to this topic in recruitment and retention, and also to take the opportunity to share your contact information?
Sure. I think that the best way to retain employees and actually recruit employees is be a fantastic place to work. Your current employees will be your biggest recruiters because their friends want to work for you. They know that you are in a great job, you love it, you're talking about your job, and they're thinking, I want to work there. Be a great place to work, and your employees will be your evangelists, as they say. They will spread the word, and also your employees would be a great source of recruitment because birds of a feather flock, right? And if you have great people, they more than likely know great people. So, use your employees as recruiters by having a great work environment and asking them when you need somebody, do they know anybody? But recruitment is always, I know a lot of business owners don't have the time. That's what we do in our business. But you have to constantly recruit. Even when you see somebody, like Shamari said, that you did not hire, but maybe they just missed the mark by a little bit. Keep a file of potential so you can always go back to that potential. When you're hiring, talk about hiring. Talk about it to your friends, at church, wherever you are. If I go into any business and I see the superstar, the first question I ask them is, do you like working here? That's my first question. I'm getting my takeout and I see somebody with a shirt on and we're just having a conversation in line. I'm like, do you like working there? That's my icebreaker. For every worker I meet, I might be walking through Plaza. Do you like working here? Because trust me, I end up hiring a lot of people who have full-time jobs at your company, and they will take a temp job to get away from that job and transition to something that's more respectful.
I would say, my closing thoughts, take time to invest in your business. We spend so much time, in our business. One of the things I learned, I did the SBA Emerging Leaders Program 2 years ago. And, I felt like I had no time to focus on the core of the business, things like, HR, recruitment, benefits, everything that goes into the business aside from the work that we do. And one of the things that I learned in that experience was, talking to other business owners and understanding that the challenges that they go through and learning from this. So now, I have friends who run businesses, and every so often we get on the phone or we get in a text message, we talk about our experiences in hiring. So the things that we learned from. At SBA, they used to call the CEO mentoring group. So, I talked to my friend Debbie and Richard and Steve, and we'll talk about, what are some of the challenges that you're facing, finding employees? What are some of the challenges you're experiencing retaining employees? What are some of the challenges you're experiencing, growing your business? Because, your business it's you, it's your employees, it's the things that you do, but you've got to find time. So for me, I block off Monday mornings from 9 a.m., 8 a.m. to roughly 2 p.m. I don't do any client work. I strictly focus on looking at my employees, looking at, the books, looking at everything that goes into the business so that, it's easier for us to transition. So one of the things that we came up with recently was our Monday calls, and now I call them success calls. So every Monday we have a call at 1 o'clock where we discuss what is it going to take for us to be successful this week. So I go through every employee and I say, hey, you take 5 minutes. What do you need to be successful this week? What do you need from, yourself? What do you need from me? What do you need from the rest of the team? So that way we leave the week feeling accomplished. You leave the weekend, you go into your weekend and you're happy that hey, I got these things done. I felt successful. And, that came from taking time to look at the business and not just, this constant go, 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 but looking at the team, looking at, how we can do better.
Exactly. I went through that same program, by the way. But one of the things you may have to do in order to look at your business is to get some help. You might have to outsource some things. Select Tim Staffing. SelectTimStaffing.com. 340-718-7114. That's what we do. We take care of your staffing needs and your HR needs so you can do what you do best, and that's run your business. We work for you.
You can find us online, crucianpoint.com. That's CRUCIANPOINT. Or just look me up, Shamari, at crucianpoint.com. I'm always happy to, if I can't work for you, and I tell folks, not every, client is the right client, not every employee is the right employee, but if I can help you, I'll do my best to.
Well, thank you guys for that. And just in a quick recap, I just want to say, we touched on culture and finding that right fit and building that trust, responsibility, not passing judgment. Communication throughout all levels of the business is also important. So I would be remiss if I didn't mention, I am a representative of DOP. Please visit our website at www.dopusvi.org. We are on Facebook, Instagram, on YouTube. Like, share, and subscribe. You check out our website. We have at least 68 jobs posted today alone. So, please do take a look at that. And thank you for joining us here today in the Governor's Workforce Summit. And do enjoy the rest of the session scheduled today. Thank you.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Well, thank you to our presenters, and give them a round of applause for this wonderful presentation. Very informative. I have learned a lot, even though I'm about to retire one of these days, but it's been a great and very informative session. I'm opening the floor for any questions from the audience since we have a few more minutes remaining in this time slot. None? Okay, so I'll ask a question. I'm just wondering, what is your approach to your charge of attracting, recruiting, retaining employees, given the difference in demographics? So I'm coming from a perspective of, we have our baby boomers, our millennials, our Gen Xers. Have you seen a difference in your approach to that particular activity?
For me, my focus is people who know the Virgin Islands. And I find that, some of the younger generation are not as keen on, paying attention to the details. So I give the example earlier. I hired someone who had moved to St. Thomas to do a design for me. And, it was for a Virgin Islands client, and they used a photo from the BVI. And, I don't claim to know all of the Virgin Islands, but I looked at that photo, and I was like, this just doesn't seem like someplace in the Virgin Islands. I've been to St. Thomas, I've been to St. John, all of us in Croy. And I asked, I was like, where did you get that picture from? And they're like, oh, that's such and such. I was in Tortola. I said, we can't use that. So, looking for people who have that mindset to focus on who you're working for, who your clients, what I gave, a real estate firm pictures of homes designed for, New York. We don't have homes designed like New York. We have homes designed here. So taking those into consideration. So looking at demographics, we have people who are older, younger. It's, coaching them to pay attention to that one thing is, do you know the Virgin Islands? So you can come from, Florida, you can come off the street. Do you know enough about the Virgin Islands to do the work? And that's unique to our business because the work that we do, 90% of my clients are in the Virgin Islands.
For me, it's skill. My clients want me to send people who can hit the ground running, who can be productive instantly, pretty much. Retirees, I love them. I'm a boomer, and I think this is one of the first times in history we have like 3-4 generations working in the same space. So, and they do take different types of care. They really do. Millennials down, they don't want your meeting. This could have been an email. Boomers, we sit around and we talk about how was your weekend and, and other things. So yeah, it does take a certain sensitivity towards the demographics. But for what we do, and that's place skill sets, we want everybody, but especially those retirees who have a wealth of skill and some of them want to come back.
I would say for me, it's based on the employer preference and really what their need is. For example, it's a matter of, is this person trainable? Or do they bring certain skills and they just need a little bit of this? Even if you take advantage of some of the eligible training providers and the offerings through Department of Labor, you can find a really great admin person, but I need them to have a little bit of accounting. And I can send them to a class at UVI-CEL or any of the other eligible training providers, and then I can have that individual that I need and that I want. Also to even looking at some of our CSEP program participants, they just want to do something. You might be able to fit them in. You look at our veterans that are coming to work as well. They have a very hard time looking and taking those military jobs descriptions and putting it towards a civilian job description. So I do think, like we said earlier, taking that time to look at those resumes and ask the right questions in the interviews.
Thank you for those answers. So one last question. I'm seeing any others in the audience. I see a hand. Yes? Can you speak loudly?
Yes. If you have one, what do your employee appreciation programs?
So the question is, if you have one, what does your employee appreciation program look like?
I don't have a formal program, but there's not a holiday that goes by where, I don't give a gift card or I don't say, for example, on Monday I meet with my staff and I talk to them about my gratitude of them filling the gap because I'm working more remotely now. And I'm like, even though I'm at home, everybody has my cell phone number and I can't tell you how much I appreciate you for being here while I'm there healing. Also, like I was in California, I told you for 14 months. You got a designer handbag, you got a designer handbag, I made sure that, just tokens to make sure that they know. That's easy to do in a very small office. But in larger ones, you really have to do something different in recognition. And the main thing is to do it consistently and to do it fairly. Probably even have maybe even a board of their peers who votes like employee of the month or something, because those things can really go left if only one person is doing it. So I just say whatever type of recognition that you choose, especially when it's a bigger than 10, say, company or office, make sure it's consistent and make sure it's fair. And I really like the board of their peers to vote.
We don't necessarily have a formal one, and part of that is, for the longest time, The company was very small. At one point, it was just two of us. This year, I've been able to add 3 members to the team. But the last few years, we've done better, and so I give employee bonuses. So, based on a percentage of their salary, they get a bonus at the end of the year. I try to do it, sometime early to late December, as a thank you to say, this is a result of your participation. Because of you, we were able to do better, and so you share in that success.
Recognize them often. Don't wait don't wait for the formal employee recognition. Recognize them every time they do a good job done. Catch them doing something good.
It's as simple as saying thank you. When I used to work for IBM, my boss, he always said he didn't have money to give bonuses and increases, so he would just, call and say thank you. And sometimes that matters, just call and say thank you, or, here's an extra day, just take the day off. I think we do like maybe 10 or 12 holidays a year, and sometimes it's just like, hey, we did really well, take the day off. So, but yes, like Julia said, do it often. Don't wait till, the end of the year, but, something as simple as thank you for your participation. Thank you for going the extra mile.
Cindy?
Well, at Division of Personnel, we do the Employee of the Year activity, which is we recognize all of the employees of the years from the various departments, and that's done territorial-wide, St. Thomas and St. Croix. And it's usually a very big production. They get their pictures in the paper, they get packages, they get recognized by their various departments, and then there's various activities planned for those individuals. But just like the panelists said, you don't wait until that time. Do it throughout the year. I know when I was leading a team of about 20 individuals, on a weekly basis, I would have my board up. Who made the most referrals for the week? Who had the most hires for the week? And they would be recognized. And whether it was something as a simple, let's just buy pizza and talk, and have that open discussion. Do regular huddles. That's important. And it's important to walk around and so they can see you and recognize hey, I heard you did this last week, or I saw you doing this. That helps. And don't be afraid to also pull them up when, hey, I don't think this outfit is appropriate for work, or I don't think you should really do this, or maybe let's answer the phone with a smile, Just, have that interaction. I think that's where the appreciation goes, and it takes you a long way.
All right, excellent. So thank you for the question, and thank you so much for those answers as well. And let's give our panel again another round of applause for being very informative, and we have learned quite a bit. Thank you all so much, and may your businesses continue to be productive. Thank you so much. If you can remain, the last session, I think, is going to be in this room, and so we ask that you remain for the closing comments and remarks, and then we'll be having an exhibit out in the hallway for those employers who wish to interact with our registrants. But thank you all for being here as well, and thank you again, panelists.
Hi, my name is Nyan Bansal, and I'm a LIFT intern attending the University of Miami, where I'm currently studying biochemistry and I'm on a pre-medical track.
My name is Jada Romer, a current senior attending the University of Central Florida and actively pursuing a bachelor's of health sciences on the preclinical track.
My name is Ajani Gordon, and I am an electrical engineering major at the Florida Institute of Technology.
My name is Tariq Malloy. My passions are sports, cooking, and clothing design. I'm currently studying sports management and soon to be certified in personal training, corrective exercise, nutrition, strength training, and group training.
I heard of the LIFT program by word of mouth and decided to apply to gain hands-on experience in working in the medical field as well as urgent care system here in Island.
I learned about the LIFT program from my family members who told me about the wonderful experience students had in the program.
Working here at the Acute Alternative Medical Group, I've had the opportunity to work alongside physicians and nurses in creating medical reconciliations, looking at the pharmacy aspect, as well as comparing EKG results to patient charts.
I'm currently working with the lovely folks at the Acute Alternative Medical Group, where I'm helping triaging patients and helping physicians in scribing. Before the program, I didn't have any experience in the medical field at all, but the program helped me find those opportunities to work with patients and to shadow under physicians.
I heard about the LIFT program from the Department of Labor when I was interning at Limetree 2 years ago. I encountered some LIFT interns at the facility who motivated me to pursue enrolling when I was qualified. I'm currently working at Limetree Bay Terminals in the Mechanical and Reliability Integrity Department on a project involving a substation with my mentor, Tim Franz, who is an electrical engineer.
I heard about LIFT when I was browsing through summer internship programs. I interned at the Airport Fire Station 2 years ago through the Department of Labor. I applied to this program to enhance my internship experience. I'm currently interning at the Buccaneer as a line cook. I have been learning temperatures, plating food, flipping burgers, grilling chicken, baking ribs, grilling salmon, and making crab cakes. The LIFT program has helped me to figure out whether or not I would want to continue my path in life cooking.
I would recommend this program to any students who are looking to expand their career and look for new opportunities.
I highly recommend that all university students who are appearing in their junior and senior year of college apply to this prestigious program, as it's one that will help give you connections and networks not only in the territory, but in other parts of the country. I would like to take this time to thank the Department of Labor for extending this opportunity to not only myself, but to other students who have different nurtures and suits.
The LIFT program has provided me with an opportunity to work in my field of study, along with learning important life lessons. Our community has been blessed with this encouraging program for its youth and provides real-world experiences to students who are serious about their future. My experience at the LIFT program has been phenomenal. It has made me reevaluate my life goals and provide me with the opportunity to strengthen my future success. I am grateful for the inspiring speakers at our weekly events. Thank you, Department of Labor, for providing us with this fantastic opportunity.
Thank you to the Department of Labor for the vision that made these amazing opportunities possible.
And to all the folks at the Department of Labor, thank you.
Hi, my name is Janique Ronan Spencer. I am a second-year graduate student majoring in public health at New York University. My future career goal is to work in public health practice as a program manager.
Hi, my name is Kobe Potter, and I'm a rising senior at American University in Washington, D.C. I'm a justice and law major and an entrepreneurship minor, hoping to be a defense lawyer in the future.
Hello, my name is Marina Parlato, and I went to Cornell University. I majored in history with minors in business, biology, and Latin American studies.
Hi, my name is Javon Sterling. I'm an incoming senior at the University of Tampa, majoring in general finance.
Hi, my name is Micah Hill. I'm an upcoming senior at LaRouche University, My major is Child and Family Studies, and I have a minor in pre-law.
I first heard about the LIFT program as a senior attending UVI in undergrad, and I applied for the LIFT program because I wanted to seek more experience and seek out the available opportunities in public health.
I heard about the LIFT program through a potential employer, and she encouraged me to apply this way so that I would be a paid intern.
My mother is actually a LIFT program alumni, and so she suggested this to me, and I was also a few years ago another Department of Labor intern, and so I figured that this was kind of the step up that would get me the necessary exposure that I would need in my field.
So I work at the Office of Management and Budget. I intern at the Office of Management and Budget, and I serve as an assistant revenue analyst. So what I do is I shadow the head revenue analyst for the department, and I basically assist her with updating the weekly cash flows and the consolidated reports so she could submit that information to the executive branch for the governor.
I am interning in Judge Watlington's quarters in the Family Division up at the Superior Court.
I am placed under Judge Tejo at the Superior Court, and I have been doing a variety of work, everything from helping file in the clerk's office to helping draft motions, and I have also had the opportunity to work on the jury and law clerk handbooks.
I am interning at the Department of Health under the Chronic Disease Management and Prevention Program. Currently, I am conducting a post-evaluation follow-up from the Chronic Disease Control Workshop that was held virtually in the territory. These results will be critical in assessing the needs of our territory in terms of chronic illnesses such as diabetes, cancer, asthma, and sickle cell.
I'm interning at the law offices of Jennifer Jones. Basically, I'm like her legal assistant, so I help her with anything that she needs assistance with.
Overall, my experience was fantastic. I mean, tonight was certainly a testament. Having the governor and the commissioner of finance speak to me directly was a wonderful experience.
I think that the LIFT program has been very effective in helping prepare us to become future leaders in our community, as well as enhancing our knowledge and skills for our future career goals.
I've definitely enjoyed this LIFT program because I feel like it's just allowed me to, not only the program itself, but the people that I got to meet in the program, they're further along in the same path that I want to do, and so it was nice to speak to them about just taking the bar, taking the LSATs, what to expect for law school, and it's really nice to see like other people that are relatively young but are still further along than I am, and it's very helpful to just get that hands-on experience that's necessary for me to excel in my field.
I would highly recommend the program. I would even do it again if I were able.
Yes, anyone who plans on just getting experience for the outside world and just branding yourself, this program is really beneficial.
Overall, it was kind of like life-changing in a sense. I learned a lot working under Attorney Jones, and hearing all the different speakers talk to us really opened my eyes on different things and how I could really network here rather than doing it in the States.
I think that it serves as a great starting point to get your career on the track, and it also helps to enhance your professional and social development.
I would absolutely recommend this program to anybody who has an interest in just exploring their field, or even if you just want to know whether or not this is a field of interest to you, I would definitely recommend this program.
Thank you to the Department of Labor for accepting me into the LIFT program, and I really enjoyed my experience.
Thank you to the Department of Labor for everything. I very much appreciate it.
I would like to say thank you to the Department of Labor for granting me this opportunity to be a 2021 LIFT intern.
Thank you to the Department of Labor for selecting me to be a 2021 LIFT intern.
being a firefighter, you have to serve, and that's one of the reasons why I became a firefighter. I love to serve my community. I achieved so many different certifications through my time in the fire service. So I've done so much. I'm an EMT, hazmat tech, extrication. I've done it all, which is why I'm where I'm at today.
I moved up in rank, corporal, sergeant, and now lieutenant. Each step was a learning experience, and it's a great opportunity to work in the Virgin Islands Fire Service. I learned several different things in the fire department. The first was the initial fire training, and that's what made me love the job the most. The second one was the hazmat training, which I am the team leader for that department right now. And the last one was the police training, which makes me a peace officer.
I've already taken a test for the entry level test for the Bureau of Corrections to become a correction officer. And I passed it, and I got a call, and they were asking me if I'm still interested, and I said very much so, because I don't want to be here on my island where I was born in St. Croix to give some services and give back to my community. And the government has provided me with, of course, I would say, a well-secured job, well-secured career, and in the whole aspect of the Virgin Islands, the government of Virgin Islands per se, we need to go a long way, but it's given me a lot of hope. It's provided security for me, and I know they can do that for a whole lot of people here in the Virgin Islands as well.
Work for the Department of Planning and Natural Resources. Been working here for at least 12 years. My job, I deal with fisheries. I love it. What inspired me to get into this field was to help save the environment. I love the environment. It's one thing that I've always had a passion for. I can educate everybody, you know, tell them a lot about the ocean, about the different things that we come in contact with, you know, try to keep everything safe. It's enforcement, so I deal with a lot of safety issues, so help all the boaters be more safe in the water. It's the best job in the world.
All right. Hopefully everyone has had an awesome day today. Again, my name is Sana Joseph Smith. On behalf of Governor Bryan, we just want to thank you all for coming out to St. Croix's Summit. Tomorrow we have the Governor's Workforce Development Summit in St. Thomas at the Caribbean Cinemas. So if you haven't registered, try to do so quickly. Otherwise, everybody's going to be talking about it, and you're going to be catching up in the background. But don't be worried. Don't be afraid. We do have the sessions recorded, and so we will be replaying those. So if you've missed something or your notes aren't there or somebody's been talking about it and you want to catch up on it, you know where you can go so you can hear it. Also, those of you that were the lucky ones with the free backpacks, I wish I had one to show everybody so I could show off the backpacks. Oh, someone want to bring it to me? She'll bring it to me just now. Don't forget to pick up your tablets to go in your beautiful backpacks. So these are the backpacks we've been talking about. And inside we have all kind of goodies in here, information, sanitizer, masks, all that kind of good stuff. So you are armed and ready to take on and get back to work. So if you have your letters, don't forget to take that out to the reception area and pick up your tablets. Today, no IOUs, so make sure you go back and get those. We also want to thank all of the folks that came out to support the event, those that worked the event. Thank you to Caribbean Cinemas for allowing us to have the event here. The presenters, yes, definitely, who came out and gave us and dropped some nice nuggets. We got some really great information. So if you missed it on St. Croix, tune into St. Thomas to make sure you get it there. Did I miss anything else, Asia? St. John, yes, thank you. St. John, we did not forget about you guys. We are coming over. We are taking the boat, and we'll be in St. John on Friday from 9 to 1. Make sure you register because space is limited, and we are coming to you. So you don't even have to take the boat and come across and go through all of that. We're going to do that for you. So be prepared, get ready, and register so that you're ready to get back to work. Today was amazing. We're hoping that everyone has seen something that will allow them to seize the opportunity. Again, do not let any of your self-created barriers hold you back. Just dream big. If you don't know what to dream, come and we're going to show you some stuff. Come on over. We'll help you, guide you through, oh, I like this, I like that. Come on over. We had some awesome stuff for the employers and for the service providers as well. So if you've missed it, we'll see you in St. Thomas tomorrow, mañana. Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you then. Don't forget the job fair. How could I forget? You guys are supposed to have my back. Job fair is going on from 3 to 5 in the lobby area. They're also doing interviews on the spot. If you need help with your resume, we have laptops in the front that we can help you. You can sign into views, the whole bit. So from 3 to 5, we have the job fair going on in the front. So don't forget to take advantage of that and all the goodies that they have at the different tables. All right, now we can go. Enjoy the rest of your day.